Welcome to Real Talk with Crazy Ian. Starting this show. I've been thinking about this show for a while. We're going to talk about politics. Maybe you like my music. But I'm not rapping right now. I'm just talking because I do want to become president, and and that sounds extreme. I tell people that I would like to become president of the United States, and usually when I say that to someone, they think I'm joking, or they think that I'm crazy. I assure you that this is not a laughing matter. And I assure you that I am technically not crazy. I call myself Crazy Ian as a joke. I'm almost crazy. But actually, I'm probably more sane than anyone you've ever met. I don't really care if you disagree. So why become president? Well, if you don't really think about what it means to be president, and you hear someone say, I would like to be president of the United States, you probably assume that they want to become president because they want money or power. I don't give a fuck about fucking cock-sucking money, and I don't give a fuck about fucking power. The only fucking reason that I care about it is because I don't want pieces of shit to have it. And it may sound like I'm a very angry, bitter person, but actually, I think humans are great. Most of them, anyway. So if you're sitting there and you're a Republican or a Democrat, I fundamentally disagree with you. And it's not your fault. And you're probably not stupid. But you have been deceived. Can you really sit there and try and tell me that Republicans care about the middle class? Can you really sit there and try and explain to me that Democrats care about poor people? I mean, I know that it's like you should assume your government has your interests at heart and they care about their citizens and they don't lie. That's what you should be able to assume about your government. But I ask you again, do Republicans care about the middle class? Do Democrats care about poor people? No. Democrats end wars, right? Well, no. Obama didn't end any fucking war. Republicans care about the military, right? Well, no. We have been in armed conflict with Afghanistan for almost 20 fucking years, and no one even talks about it. That's pathetic. Has anyone ever heard of Code Blue? Do you know what Code Blue is? It is basically propaganda. It's a lie. It's an advertising campaign ran by the FBI. Code Blue is it's kind of fascinating. It's a mystery to me. We all know that the FBI is involved in law enforcement. And they have Code Blue, and Code Blue sounds more like a fucking charity. Code Blue is the priority of the FBI to end human trafficking. If you do research on Code Blue, you will find some highly stylized website with a couple of stories about victims of human trafficking and a stupid fucking ribbon that says end human trafficking. I used to live in motels a lot for months at a time, in some cases. While I was there, things were very out of control in my life. But I witnessed human trafficking. I was never involved with it. I didn't do anything with it, but it was, my next door neighbors in the motel. Pimps and hoes, right? After I stopped being homeless and time passed, this really fucking bothered me, and I actually called the FBI more than once. To report locations of these pimps and how motel management was copacetic with the human traffickers, and I wanted them to maybe save some hoes. It's not funny. I had information about motels in Baltimore and also in the town of Laurel, Maryland. After being hung up on many times, I was told something by a Fed. I quote, "No one cares about Maryland." Now that's a fucking problem, isn't it? You trying to wrap your head around that? Do you think I'm making it up? Could you even make something like that up? Isn't it dangerous for me to even talk about calling the FBI? Isn't it dangerous for me to admit freely that I applied for the CIA and witnessed a lot of corruption and had attempts on my life? Is that something that you think I'm just fucking making up for fun? Because it's not. I wouldn't recommend doing what I did. And now, because the past cannot be changed at this point, the only course of action that I see appropriate is for me to become president. When I become president, I will have the legal authority to enforce law. What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to just be some kind of corrupt fucking criminal? Get charged with treason? No. I'm gonna run for fucking president. And it's just freedom of speech. And it's fine. And the snake motherfuckers can't do shit about it. And let me tell you something else. My presidency is going to be extremely unique. The Constitution will be heavily amended. Congress will be suspended and investigated. What? If you got nothing to hide and you're just an honest, patriotic public servant and a good American, then you senators should have no problem being investigated. Don't start talking to me about your fucking rights to privacy, because you're just gonna make me fucking laugh. You can't cover it up. You snake motherfuckers out there. See, it's not all the senators, but you just investigate all the senators at the same fucking time. Anyone that didn't do anything wrong, doesn't matter what your political policy beliefs are. I probably disagree with you. The only person in politics that even comes close to anything that I believe is Ron Paul, and he's like retired. If I was president, I would love to have Ron Paul be my vice president, for example. Assuming he's not a crook. Because the people are supposed to have a good relationship with their government. That's how it's supposed to be. But the trust has been violated. And the trust needs to be restored. It's hard for me to believe anything that anyone from Washington, D.C. says. It doesn't matter what political party they are. It's a machine. And there's a lot of this shit. There's a lot of money going around for nothing. Money for nothing. That's really big with the federal government, and it doesn't just come from thin air. Not all of it, anyway. I mean, they print money whenever they want, but they're a little careful about overprinting. But most of the money comes off of your fucking back. And I can guarantee that it is a statistical probability that taxpayer money is used for all kinds of fucked up shit. And I'm not talking about what they admit they use it for. Such as funding schools. You think schools need more funding, do you? Well, do they really need more money when there is a bureaucratic army of overpaid administrators, all who make around 6 figures a year for doing not much, definitely not, teaching? There's these overpaid bureaucrat armies of fucking stooges, and the textbooks are from the 70s, and the fucking computers are from the 90s, if they even have computers at all. And they can't fucking turn the air on in the summer, and they can't turn the heat on in the winter, but they've got, here's $100,000 for acting like you're important and sitting in a desk for 9 months a year, spewing bullshit and firing teachers. I mean, what? You don't deserve fucking $100,000. If anyone in the school deserves $100,000, it's a good teacher. Which $100,000 seems like a lot for a teacher, but it's certainly a lot for a fucking bureaucrat, paper pushing jackass. But no, it's a statistical probability that senators use their personal wealth, which they are able to amass because of their expense accounts. They have expense accounts for every fucking meal they eat. So while we gotta go buy groceries, they're just not buying groceries. They have an expense account. So they're able to just take the salary. So like even like a salary, they get a very high salary, but that salary, like it's much more valuable to them than it would be to someone else, because they don't pay for food, they don't pay for travel, they don't pay for clothing. So instead, the money basically just collects, or it is spent on things that aren't travel, clothing, or food. It is statistically likely that there are members of Congress who receive funds from human traffickers and drug cartels. It's also very likely that there are senators that own a person. In 2018, what do you mean it's statistically likely? That's a pretty fucked up thing to say, man. I don't follow. Why is that likely? Well, the government is fucked. The government should not be fucked, but it is. Now, it is technically possible that the reason the government is fucked is because everyone in the government is ignorant. But it's much more likely that they are not ignorant and they're just fucked in the head and they're evil. Because we know that they are educated. And let me make it very clear that it is not everyone in the government. The government is not the enemy. The government is highly polarized, and there are elements of the government that are corrupt. And it really doesn't take that smart of a person to come to this conclusion. Are we really supposed to believe that all these crazy laws, the way day-to-day business is run in Washington, D.C., all this shit, all this bullshit exists the way it exists now? We're supposed to believe that that's because everyone in D.C. is a moron? That does not make sense. It makes much more sense that it is a deliberate agenda of certain corrupt, evil elements within the government. But it goes beyond the government because the government is actually weaker than wealth. We may be slaves to money, but the government is a huge slave to money in a way that most of us aren't. The United States government cannot declare bankruptcy. The United States government is incapable of cutting back on its spending no matter which political party is in power. Everyone knows that the way that business is done in Washington, D.C. is completely insane. Yet it is perpetrated no matter who is president. It doesn't matter who the fucking president is. It should, and it will if I become president. But it doesn't fucking matter. It's basically the same shit. It's just everybody is taught to either support one dickhead or the other dickhead. And you could even look at warnings from our founding fathers who said a two-party system under this Constitution could be very dangerous for the people's liberty. George Washington hated political parties, but, you know, whatever, who cares, right? The easiest way to explain what would happen if I were to become president is that it's going to be like when St. Patrick drove the snakes out of Ireland, except it's going to be America and I'm not a saint. And I hope everybody's comfortable with the death penalty. Because if you're a human trafficker, you're dead. I don't fucking feel bad in saying that. All drugs will be legalized. A lot of things are going to be totally legal. The only things that are going to be illegal is going to be shit like human trafficking. That's why you legalize prostitution. If you legalize prostitution, prostitutes now have rights. That's not good for the human trafficker. Anyway, it's going to be great. I have a lot of plans for money, including paying back the national debt. With that dope money, dirty, sexy heroin hooker money is going to pay off the national debt legally. It's also going to make it very probable that we're going to be able to get rid of a certain bitch named the income tax. But Mr. President, the IRS just hired an army of bureaucrats to go after Americans. Well, I guess they're gonna need to be looking for a new motherfucking job, motherfucker. But what about your buddies in the FBI and the CIA, Mr. Macho Man? They're not my buddies. Motherfuckers tried to kill me. They're not your buddies either. They don't care about Maryland. They don't care about teenagers getting kidnapped and force-fed heroin and pimped out by abusive psychopaths. They don't give a fuck about that. They don't care. But they got their little fucking PR campaign called Code Blue, which it just makes me sick. It makes me want to fucking puke. And let's also remember that as long as it's proven that these government people that are being investigated aren't involved in any bullshit, they're gonna be fine. And actually, I'm gonna be like really respectful and proud of people that work in the government that are not corrupt right now. It's gonna be like, dude, you're the shit. So yeah, on the one hand, it's like, oh yeah, little lizard motherfuckers that are part of the DC elite that are evil, they're gonna go to the federal pen, or maybe just get executed. But really awesome government people that are not pieces of shit is gonna be like, dude, you deserve a fucking medal. I want you in my administration. Like, you know what I'm saying? And the thing is that the good people in the government should be the ones that are actually calling for this. Just to clear the air. Just like, I'm sick of motherfuckers believing in the Illuminati shit. Okay? I work for the FBI and I'm trying to help Americans, and motherfuckers think I'm a piece of shit because some dickhead told Crazy Ian that he doesn't care about Maryland. That doesn't represent the FBI, and that's not what I'm about. Fuck that. I'm sick of it. I'll be like, dog, you're in the FBI. You're supposed to be investigating. Like, why don't you do some investigating? And they're gonna be like, yeah, I know, I'm trying to do investigation, but meanwhile we're like checking whether football players use roids or not, and you know, we're not allowed to go investigate little fucking motel pimps in Maryland because, well, I don't really know why we're not allowed to do that, but you know, we're not. So even though we got Code Blue, that's kind of bullshit because, like, you know, if Code Blue is to end human trafficking, what, you think you're going to end human trafficking by sitting around and not smashing up motel hooker rackets and saving these girls' lives? You think you're not going to end... You think you're going to end it by not doing that? Like, what the fuck, right? So, like, there's probably a lot of intelligent people in the FBI that are hearing me say this, and they're like, you know what, man? He's right. That's bullshit. What the fuck is that? See, it's like, oh, it's gonna be a war. It ain't no war, it's just another fucking day in America, bitch. And if you are a snake, motherfucker, you are going to get caught. If you are not a snake, motherfucker, you are going to be much safer and wealthier. There's two types of people now. And, of course, we're going to be able to bring back journalism because the news is going to love this shit. News is going to love this shit. A celebrity that owns a slave, that is some juice. A picture of them, a picture of their mugshot. A senator who pays top dollar because he likes to kill hookers. Call the media. It's gonna be great. So that's why I'm 27 now. I have to be 35 constitutionally. So whenever I do run, which will be in like 8 to 10 years, something like that, maybe a little longer. I haven't even done the math on like the first actual election that I can run, because the thing is, I don't really know when that's going to be, because you never know what would happen, what could happen. But when I run, I want you to vote for me, okay? My name is Ian William Godwin, and I approve this message. I hope that I was able to clear the air. It's going to be it is going to be quite a shock to the system, but it's going to actually run a lot more smoothly than you would think, particularly with the help of the military. I am going to be authorizing the military to do certain things on the homeland that they probably haven't done before. And it's not going to be going into fucking Joe Blow's house. It's going to be like killing a bunch of cartel motherfuckers. Rescuing human trafficking victims. Shit like that. You don't have to be in the military to help on adventures like this. If this sounds like the kind of work that interests you, you just might be a American classic, a bounty hunter. I mean, it's dangerous work, but some people, they don't mind getting shot at because they saved a little girl's life. That work isn't for everybody, but it might be one of them trending jobs by 2030. Well, wait a minute, what about cops? Well, cops are actually gonna really, really love it. Instead of checking for crack rocks in a hooker's butt crack, they'll get their fair share of the old action. No big deal. Well, what about corrupt, racist cops? Well, that's not all cops. Of course it's not all cops, but what about corrupt, racist cops? Well, as long as we say that we know it's not all cops, then we can laugh about them going to the pig pen. What's the pig pen? It's a special little part of the jail. Speaking of racism, every segment of the population, whether they are religious or not, whatever color they are, it doesn't matter. Their lifestyle, they can be gay, it doesn't matter. None of that matters. I mean, it matters at a personal level and a social level, but you know. You're gay. Like, okay, you're gay. Okay, alright, you're gay. Alright, whatever. Cool. Alright. Oh, hey, you're Muslim. Dude, what's up, man? How you doing? Like, what? Oh, hey, what's up, black guy? Like, who gives a fuck? No one gives a fuck. except for idiots. So really, the only segment of the population is going to feel like their liberties are being encroached upon if I'm president are racists and evil fuckers. They're going to say things like, it's unconstitutional for you to violate my freedom of speech. And I'm going to be like, wait, you say I'm violating your liberty? Who are you? You're the leader of the Ku Klux Klan. I'm supposed to give a fuck about your liberty. Why am I supposed to give a fuck about your liberty exactly? Do you give a fuck about mine? Do you give a fuck? I mean, or is because I'm a bad Catholic? Like, do you not hate me? I'm sorry. What? I'm sorry. Oh, you're a Nazi? You're a Nazi? You're a fucking Nazi? And you want to talk to me about your rights? Fuck. Whatever, dude. Good luck with that. Maybe you should try and run for president, you fucking Nazi dick. I wonder if you're gonna become president. Fuck you. Nazi punks, Nazi punks, Nazi punks. Fuck off. Well, I mean, if you're going to legalize, you're literally going to legalize heroin. Well, yeah, man. But what you want some fucking criminal making money off of something like heroin? You're going to legalize hookers? Well, yeah. You want some criminal enslaving women and forcing them to have sex with people for money? No, you don't want that? Well, then why are you so fucking shocked when I say we need to legalize heroin? Oh, and by the way, if we legalize heroin, guess what? The opioid crisis would start to end. That's some shit, isn't it? Yeah, that's kind of fucked up. Can you please explain? Oh, sure, no problem. I could definitely explain that to you very easily. You legalize heroin, not only do you take money out of criminals' hands, but you also, you're able to basically fund the U.S. government, maybe not in its entirety, but, you get a nice chunk of change, and then you could take the other money and, build schools and shit, so that's cool, but it's way more than just that. As soon as it's legal, guess what happens? We're actually going to have scientists kind of determine whether it's necessary for us to continue selling fentanyl or not. We're going to get some primo fucking heroin, and we're going to cut it with benign ingredients so that people aren't just ODing on smack all the time. So even if it's determined that people are demanding fentanyl, it's still going to be safer, and we're going to push people to just do straight up, like, motherfucking Turkish fucking chocolate. What the fuck, right? So, that's all cool. So you're definitely you're gonna have less fucking hot shots and rat poison needles and shit like that. So that's a positive right there, but it goes beyond that. As soon as it's legal, guess what? You have to be 21 to get it unless you have a medical prescription. See, you might hear the phrase heroin dealer, and it conjures up some sort of image in your mind, right? Well, if it becomes legal, a legal recreational drug like alcohol or tobacco, because it's no longer a black market, it's going to have to do business within the law. And that might not really sound that important to you, but it is vitally important. Do you know the two main causes of violence in American history? Number one is racism, right? And I've already kind of shared my opinion about racism, but the second cause of violence is these black markets. And it doesn't matter if it's heroin. It doesn't matter. It's just like alcohol during Prohibition. Millions of people think nothing of having a beer at a ball game. Businesses were blown up with customers inside of them over the drink. And that's because they made drinking illegal. It's the only fucking way it would happen. Making all of the drugs legal is the only way to keep the children safe. You lost me there, bro. The street dealer of 2018, not only does he sell bad dope, but he sells it to little kids. He sells it to teenagers. That's what you do, huh? You big bad heroin dealing man, huh? You like getting the little babies hooked on that shit? Huh? To make you feel big? Honestly, I'm really like, I'm hoping that it's possible. I don't know if this is going to be achievable or not. I don't think it's going to be achievable. The only way that I can see this happening is if I had a very mass following. It's possible that I could get the Constitution amended so that I did not have to wait until I was 35 to be president. Because the thing is it's like I can make these jokes. I can make fun of Nazis. I can show you how weak and pathetic the most feared criminals are. And you know, I can have a couple of drinks and break some dining room chairs. And, make a fucking song or make a fucking comedy track. And watch a movie and go to the library. Well, every fucking day. Every fucking minute. I mean, I'm cool and I'm funny and maybe eccentric, stoned. Well, this shit is unacceptable. It is a thing of honor. It is a thing of honor. Doesn't matter that I drank my own blood. Well, does it? don't know, why don't you ask a crack hoe? Why don't you ask a teenage junkie? Better yet, why don't you ask a fucking Nazi? I got nothing to hide about my past. I'm very fucking honest. I was very honest with the CIA. I'm going to be very honest with the American people too, and if you don't like it, you can suck my dick. I would say this. The Bible says you can't go to heaven if you drink your own blood. I did it for love, and I was young. And I was betrayed and heartbroken. Twice. But the Italian mafia guys, they do some little bit of blood magic too. You talk to a fucking Wiccan about the blood, you get their attention. And the Bible says that you can't go to heaven if you do it. So I would suggest you not. But at the same time, it is a very unique experience. And it's just a highly stylized ritual with a lot of history to it. And I mean, I've had a rough life, but I do look pretty young. No, I'm kidding. I know I'm not a vampire. I think the main reason that I don't look like shit is because of all the formaldehyde that I smoked. It preserves your body. That's not all it does. I didn't know that it was formaldehyde. I was 16. Actually, I think it may have impaired my judgment. Much more than just the common joint. Particularly when it also had PCP, right? Seeing the dots? Yeah. Well, fuck all that. That shit is nasty. But what's funny is the very legal policies that I hate have dictated most of my life and will continue to do so even if I succeed. Isn't that kind of ironic and fucked? What do you mean you're not a hooker? Well, when marijuana was still illegal, guess what they were doing? Putting fucking formaldehyde and PCP in shitty weed and passing it off as normal product to ding 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 teenagers, aka me. Well, that's kind of fucked up. Well, yeah, that is kind of fucked up, isn't it? But I feel fine. I'm seeing a psychiatrist. Or a psychologist. Whichever one doesn't give you fucking zombie pills. Nice, Ian. Are you gonna start bashing the medical industry? I've been trying to work on not bashing the medical industry. Pharmaceutical industry, fuck them. Wait, I'm sorry, what was that? I said pharmaceutical industry. Fuck them. Why? Well, there's a few reasons, but the big ones are they're totally corrupting the FDA. And they have no souls. I don't know. What do you think, Tom? Why do I hate the pharmaceutical industry? Well, it seems that if the Illuminati does indeed exist, at least in some kind of fashion, it would kind of go without saying that many of the executives in the pharmaceutical industry would be right there with the former presidents in the woods naked. Oh, really? So are you saying the Illuminati exists? Well, I'm saying that it is highly statistically probable that many of the richest people in the world also happen to be sociopaths, because the ways that they were able to acquire such massive amounts of wealth often is not just because they're smart. It's usually because they're willing to do things that a normal person would never consider doing. And given that it's statistically probable that many of the world's wealthiest people are also sociopaths, and the known fact that they tend to stay in their own circle and do not really associate with normal folk. Given that it's statistically probable that these wealthy people, again, and it is not every rich person, but given that it is statistically likely that these wealthy people are sociopaths, and we know that they do tend to flock together, it is also statistically probable that there is some kind of creepy, satanic cult worship going on, not only in Hollywood, but also major financial centers like New York, and maybe, perhaps even some corrupt elements of the government could be involved with this, because we know that the super wealthy have an interesting relationship with the rule of law. So yeah, I think it's probably highly likely that someone who was involved with human trafficking and was also, I don't know, the executive for a pharmaceutical company, it would be likely to assume that a person like that could be interested in nasty rituals that make me drinking my blood and doing blood off with my girlfriends look. That makes me look like cute little Romeo. I'm not talking about fucking stylized rituals that are weird. I'm talking about stylized rituals that are pure evil. Why wouldn't they? It would appeal to their sense of humor. So yes, I believe it is statistically likely. Well, thanks for that. That makes me feel really great. No, really, really, you're welcome. The good news is that it's not too late. There are more of us than them. They have more dollars. They have more money than us, right? They think that this money will protect them. This money is their bulletproof armor. It's their Teflon suit. But you know, actually, if they weren't so greedy, it would be harder to find them. The money that they think protects them is actually what is going to get them convicted. Alright, I think an hour is probably a good time for me to stop. I hope you enjoyed the show. Yes, I'm 100% serious. I would like for you to spread the word. Check out my music. It's very, very, very crazy. But it's fun. It's something to do. Again, my name is Ian William Godwin, and I approve this message. Please vote for me when I run. And if the following gets big enough and we think that we can have a fucking constitutional convention to amend the Constitution and make it constitutional for me to become president younger than 35, that'll be great. And it'll only be one of the many fucking amendments that are going to happen. So, again, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the show. Stay tuned, subscribe, like, comment, tell me you hate me. I can't wait to hear from the fucking Nazi cocksuckers. I'm sure they're going to have a lot of really intelligent things to say. Again, spread the word. Peace.